Innovation is changing the way we live, work and learn. It's one way Africa's brightest minds are transforming the continent. The African Innovation Foundation, the AIF, believes that the best solutions to the challenges that Africans face on a daily basis can and will come from Africans themselves, and innovation is the key. In a bid to encourage innovation in Africa, the AIF, through the Innovation Prize for Africa event, celebrates and rewards Africa's top innovators with cash prizes of up to $150,000. Every year, 10 finalists are selected from hundreds of entries, with one candidate emerging the winner of the $100,000 cash prize. The 2014 edition of the Innovation Prize for Africa was held on May the 5th in Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. Key personalities from the government and private sector, along with 10 finalists of the IPA, converged for a roundtable event prior to the awards ceremony. Why is the AIF supporting innovation in Africa?
The three founders of the foundation were three young, compared to me, African businessmen. And they said, we have to stop this always believing that others will do the job in development and bringing the economy in Africa forward. They asked me whether I would join the board after I had made some experiences in working in and with Africa over the last 20 years. And I said, yeah, give me first an indication why, and why you put innovation into the name of your foundation. And then they explained and say, we want to mobilize the potential, the brain power on this continent, and to bring back that self-esteem that Africa can do it.
The first roundtable discussion for the day begins with the theme, African Innovation Spaces, how to unleash African ingenuity.
In general, about innovation spaces versus universities, I think there's a general appreciation by universities these days that innovation spaces are gateways to commercialization. And therefore, rather than universities actually thinking so deep, now, as they used to in the past, about what happens to the knowledge coming out of those universities, I think a lot of them are appreciating the fact that innovation spaces are creating that platform for launching some of the ideas that come out of the knowledge.
You don't have to have a traditional, very expensive establishment called a university, which is limiting the number of people in the continent who can have access to this because of the internet and because of maker spaces. Of course, maker spaces are leaning towards especially technical education. But I think it's a very interesting experiment right now to see how that might evolve into a new type of university or a new type of polytechnic or whatever you want to call it.
So I think universities are now beginning to focus on what they're all about and largely appreciating innovation spaces as partners in extending their knowledge through to the commercialization of some of the ideas that come out of them.
For one of the panelists, the nature of Africa's innovation is what also makes it more compelling.
I think that innovation is not only transforming the African continent, but in a way, the nature of the innovation in Africa is also transforming. And I would say by that, I think now there's a growing awareness that the innovation doesn't always have to come from the top, and that the top-down efforts to use innovation to drive development in Africa have had limited success. And I think now there's a broader awareness that there is already innovation, but it's very much in the grassroots, in the corners, in the spaces where people are actually making things on the continent, and that if this alignment can occur between those already existing innovators and the spaces in which they operate with the resources that are available through sort of the global system, if that alignment can occur, I think then really the potential of Africa will be unleashed.
Panelists on the second roundtable discussion debate on how the needs of African youths can be met while also building a 21st century workforce.
Primary and secondary education, who was educated in Africa? All of them. So we're all the product of an African education system. So I'll ask you very quickly, what do you think the state of the African education system is today? And are you or were you content with the education which you got in Africa In some cases 5 years ago, in some cases 10 years ago, in some cases 15 years ago.
I went to a private primary school and a public secondary school. But when I got to college outside of Ghana, I started to recognize that there were gaps in my education. That I struggled a little bit, especially in my first year, in making a switch from just memorizing facts to actually being more of a problem solver and an analytical person. I also think that actually this panel is not a representative group. We're probably among the people who are doing really well in school, in primary and secondary school. And when I look back, I recognize that there are a lot of kids who are left behind by the system. Those who are not making the A's, the educational system really didn't cater to their needs as well.
A lot of the things that defined the young people in my age grade who are problem solving today weren't things that we necessarily got in the classroom. The classroom was great in making us the regular academics as people wanted us to become. You know, we can memorize everything on the general exam and pass and get A's. But we weren't necessarily making to learn. And so I am grateful for having had the opportunity to think that way, but the action learning was now part of the curriculum.
People look at education as the amount of money you spend on English and math. I would say that's quite a partial view of education. Precisely, we're beginning to realize that there's more to education than being able to read and write. Someone said education is what's left after all you've learned is forgotten. And I think that's really it, because if I've gone to school and I can't make a difference in the society in which I live, then I wonder if I've gone to school. What struck me at the University of Navarre was not just what I was learning, but the way people were treated.
Education, when it's done well, is a process of enlightenment. And it goes to this question of, do you educate elite? If the elite are not enlightened after all their education, then they're not very useful to society. And enlightenment in terms of having a sense of integrity, having empathy for people, of deeply caring about building their society for everyone and not just for themselves and their families. Enlightenment in terms of being people with a problem-solving mindset who really want to solve problems and get sort of joy out of solving problems, and who have the capability to do that. And so I felt that there were weaknesses in the educational system. I had colleagues who went to college in Ghana, studied computer science, and never used a computer. But they got bachelor's degrees, they got master's degrees, but they weren't actually doing practical stuff. And when they go through an education like that, they're unable to build the economy afterwards.
Very few schools globally, for high schools, are focused on action learning and giving opportunities. And so you have to look outside the educational system to be able to do things that force you or force young people to be innovative generally. And I think that's a shame.
One of this year's IPA finalists shares her thoughts on the transformational qualities of innovation. She's also hopeful of winning this year's top prize.
Our innovation, GMP Basic, is to assist governments, decision makers with food security and food safety challenges. The absence of accurate data for disease control in the livestock environment directly impacts on the poverty and hunger in Africa. Therefore, we have developed a system with unique identification ear tags for each animal, which we record on a database. This allows for the electronic transfer of the whole life cycle history of the animal from birth right up to slaughter. The Innovation Prize has offered me the opportunity to have a voice, to encourage women out there, irrespective of their age or qualification, to be creative, be persistent and persevere, because you can be successful. It is challenging, but if you are willing to commit and live your dream, it is achievable. I am already a winner, because the benefits of being here today, being with the finals, is of tremendous value, both for myself as a woman, a mother, a business person, and an ambassador for my country.
The IPA award ceremony begins with a light cocktail as guests gather for the evening's event. Brief remarks from some of the keynote speakers kick off the ceremony.
Many people have said that you can't create jobs without innovation, and I subscribe to that. I have been a one-man marching band in trying to advocate the role of innovation, science, technology, in the role that it can play in creating jobs. Africa is reputed to have one of the largest number of young people in the world. And that means that we have the challenge to create jobs for this population.
So we have a very special guest who will grace us with her presence, the Honorable Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I thought I should have hurried up before you get tired of the rounds of applause. But since this is about innovation and the spirit of can-do, I'm just going to dispense with our usual Nigerian protocol and just say all protocols observed. I have my former colleague here, Professor Ison. We have distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience, but let me not start that to save time. But I do want to begin by welcoming you all to Abuja. And I've just listened and heard that you spent the morning judging the competitions. And it looks like it's been a very productive day, as Walter put it. So I want to thank the African Innovation Foundation for what it's doing. I mean, it's remarkable. We've always been looking for ways to reward our young people and old people who are coming up with new ideas on the continent. And the fact that we have this prize is one of the fitting things that I think is the new edge of moving the continent forward. What a worthy and worthwhile venture is what we have here in the African Innovation Foundation. A worthwhile venture in establishing this competition. For us, we feel it's definitely a move in the right direction, and we hope sincerely from Nigeria that this competition will continue to flourish for many years to come. This year, the competition has also produced a very distinguished group of finalists with interesting innovations, I'm told, such as a domestic waste biogas system, a software program to track the location of livestock, very important, a mechanized fufu pounding machine innovation, a mobile phone-based app for tracking antenatal health care of pregnant mothers, and many, many others. And by the way, many of them are addressing issues related to empowering women, either by saving time or making it easier for them to do work, and I particularly want to applaud that. Young entrepreneurs such as yourself make me feel optimistic about the continent's future. What a worthy and worthwhile venture is what we have here in the African Innovation Foundation. a worthwhile venture in establishing this competition. For us, we feel it's definitely a move in the right direction, and we hope sincerely from Nigeria that this competition will continue to flourish for many years to come. May the best person win, and let me say that we're going to follow you all with great interest in the future.
Soon after the remarks, guests were treated to a nice dinner and dance performance from a local cultural dance group. The co-founder of the AIF, Jean-Claude Bastos de Moraes, tells invited guests why he believes Africa's decision-makers should focus on African-led innovation.
We have to invest in the creation of an innovation ecosystem by constantly supporting and incentivizing it. Thirdly, ethical principles for the culture and value system of African innovation space. These are the 3 points, in my view, which are important. Further, I believe that creating design and innovation hubs which understand the needs of African consumers and have trend-setting capabilities, as well as cluster approaches for sector-focused special economic zones and smart money hubs will boost the African innovation space. A working African-led innovation system will help to promote and protect innovation, will help to market it, create jobs, diversify the economy, boost entrepreneurship. As I keep hearing, how do you think entrepreneurship can be boosted? I believe innovation is the answer. Enlarge the small and mid-sized enterprise tissue of the economy, and it's also going to attract global and local investors, and eventually become an internationally recognized innovation space where we can proudly say, this is made in Africa.
And now to the moment that everyone has been waiting for, the announcement of this year's IPA winner. But first, the 10 finalists are invited onto the stage for recognition.
Africa's top 10 innovators, 3 will go home with the top prize tonight.
The official announcements begin with the first 2 winners for the evening in the Best Commercial Potential and Highest Social Impact categories.
The IPA 2014 Social Innovation Prize winner is Alba Broad-Based Fuel Maker by Meles Thomas Gain. Meles Thomas Gain, the Social Innovator Prize Africa Award 2014.
A round of applause. The Alba Broad-Based Fuel Maker by Meles Thomas Gain for Social Innovation. Congratulations. He was chosen out of 700 applications. He made it to the top 10, and now he goes home with $25,000 US.
The IPA 2014 runner-up winner is Fufu Mix. Lago himself, please come up to the stage.
Another round of applause for him, please. He's the runner-up for the 2014 Innovation Prize Africa Award. Yes, his innovation is a fufu mix. I understand that it takes, with the innovation, it takes just 5 minutes, if I'm correct, to prepare fufu. I know, I want to go home with that.
And finally, the winners of the IPA 2014 edition.
The winner is going through the program of Altis Osteogenic Bone Matrix by Nicholas Pierre. Yes, can you come up, please? Yes. Yes, thank you.
The winners for the IPA Innovation Prize Africa 2014 award, Altis Osteogenic Bone Matrix by Nicolas Duniers and Nuno Perez. They go home with $100,000 US. Congratulations. They were chosen from 700 applications from across the African continent, from across 48 countries. They have emerged this year's winners. Congratulations. A round of applause to them.
The excited winners share their experience and their hopes for the growth of innovation in Africa.
This is about awakening a sleeping giant, because I believe that Africa is a sleeping giant. And this innovation, although it looks small, it will have a big and lasting impact on the African youth who would be motivated by our prize and award to innovate and to practice innovation, which has not been, in recent years, a culture, although it has been our culture several centuries ago. But once we started introducing technologies from Europe, we kind of stopped that kind of innovation. And I hope, and I'm sure, this prize and this award is going to motivate the people, which means awakening the sleeping giant.
To be honest, no, we didn't expect to win. We're still sitting there until they called our names out, and then a fellow contestant next to us nudged us and said, "That's you guys." So I think it was a little bit of a surprise for us.
I was absolutely delighted, shocked, and at the same time flabbergasted.
Well, for me, I think the most important thing from an entrepreneur's perspective is that the road is sometimes a long and difficult road, and one must not give up. It's been 10 years for us, so just as an example, 10 years is a long way to stick it out, but if they stick to it, they have a dream, and they're able to realize a market for that dream. There has to always be a need for something that you develop. That's the key.
The first prize winners hope to be back for the 2015 edition.
As a medtech company that believes it's always innovating, we have a number of products in the pipeline that we're continuously working on. So there are a few. Next year may be a close call, but we should be back.
Yes, definitely it's our passion, innovation in the skeletal regeneration arena. And next year we hope to be back to Nigeria, maybe not with a new innovation, but certainly to assist in the process of the innovation competition.
Beyond the cash prizes, this year's winners will receive additional support from the African Innovation Foundation.
Right after the event is over, we send a questionnaire to each one of them, including actually finalists, to ask them what it is beyond the monetary value that they feel if one would support them on could actually open opportunity for them. And those are usually areas such as mentorship, networking, coaching, or practical stuff such as business plan development, or even revamping, analyzing or revamping the whole marketing strategy. So, and what we do, we try to pair, people up, like link them up with other networks that could support or provide the kind of support they need. We, in some cases, we had financed a training, like sending someone to another country to spend time interacting with scholars or innovators in the same space.
With more than 2,000 applications received to date, the Innovation Prize for Africa aims to support Africa's efforts to develop new products and increase cost savings on the continent, among other things. Finalists are chosen from across Africa for their technological breakthroughs in areas such as manufacturing, agriculture, and health. As Africa strives towards a better political and economic future, the AIF believes that the best way to predict the future is to create it.